But really what I've done is just started fundraising with schools and coaches. And so tumblers is the big thing that I do. And I've made it so the whole thing with a coaching job, you're there from 6 a.m. until usually like 8 p.m. And then when do you have the time to go research it, find it? Are they legit? Is it somebody who's going to be useful to you? Is it something that's new? Because there's always the same fundraising stuff going on. And so tumblers is something that a lot of our students haven't done, and really I've been working with them. So like our football team, really I'm not going to talk about the margins too much, but like the thing is the football team, I give them a flat rate fee. They take $10 from every cup they sell, which is, if you're a coach, that's crazy good money.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex over at Laser Everything, and we've got another awesome episode of the Laser Source podcast for you today. I am joined by two regulars. We've got Patrick. What's going on, Patrick?
How's everybody doing?
And Tony's here. We've got a meal of the week there, Tony.
Oh yeah, what's up everybody? Just pasta for this week, you know what I mean?
Pasta, nice and simple but straightforward, I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
And we've got special guest here with us today, Matt. You know him as MrPewPew on the Discord and the Laser Master Academy. Matt, thank you so much for hopping on today, dude. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, guys, appreciate you having me.
So just for like some background, you don't sit around and do lasers all day, right? You are a teacher.
Yeah, so 40 hours a week, I'm teaching high school kids 9 through 12. We just got done reading Romeo and Juliet and doing interview day for high school, like teaching the soft skills you need to be able to walk into a place and actually talk to people and not sound like a complete idiot. So, and really the big goal is trying to get kids to recognize their internal value, but then turn that into monetary value,
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Pretty fun.
That's cool. But I mean, how did you get from that to like having a fiber laser 2 feet behind you?
Yeah.
That seems like a big jump. Yeah, that seems like a big jump.
Yeah, so literally like COVID, man, like everybody, I think in the past couple of years, like everybody's just been trying new things and doing cool stuff. And my brother actually had a Boss 2436 laser for a couple of years, and he used to play with it. And we'd always go over there. And I've got 3 kids, which is the name of my company is ELC Creations, and it's Evelyn, Levi, and Kate are my 3 kids.
Nice.
And so whenever we'd go over there, they'd be like, Dad, like our, Uncle Josh is like Iron Man. He's got lasers. And so, it's always like inside, you're kind of like, all right, I'm not cool enough. I got to be cooler for my kids. But we start playing around with it. And long story short, my brother's like, hey man, you got to just buy your own. And I was like, dude, I don't have that kind of money. And so we just started looking around on Facebook. I joined some groups and found like the Boss Laser group or something like that. And there was a guy selling a used one. So the rest is history. Went and bought it, picked it up for a good price across the state. I'm in Florida. So I went and found it, brought it home and started playing with it. And it just paid for itself in like 5 months.
So this was a CO2, right?
Yeah. So that was the 1420-65 watt, which is a really great starting laser. I mean, just like you said, the Omtech or whatever, just like that smaller bed size to do like tumblers and cutting boards and some basic engraving stuff. But it was really cool. So I just really got into it. And the neat thing is I found a base, and it's kind of like you guys have said on the Discord, like talk up your business. When you go out, just tell people, show people, you're walking around with tumblers and people are like, oh, that's such a cool, funny cup. Oh, where'd you get that? And I'm like, oh, I made it. And then, there you go.
Yep. And so how long did you have the CO2 before you dove into fiber?
Oh man. So I bought that little guy in June of last year. And then by Christmas I needed to upgrade because it's kind of like how everybody is, you start small thinking like, oh, this is going to take forever to pay off and I'll never be able to whatever. And then jumped up to the 2436 by Christmas time. And then I paid that off literally 3 weeks ago, I think. So I paid it off in less than a year, the big guy. And then once I paid that off, that was my business plan, was jump over to fiber once I could. And so now the cool thing is in about a month, I've already almost paid off half of this. Well,
Cool. That's good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. So
just a month.
And it's, you know, and that's using the CO2 on top of this guy too. But the other thing too was having, like, knowing if that was the direction I wanted to go. And this is where, like, joining the right Facebook groups and doing that kind of stuff, you really can meet some great people. Like, I mean, here I am with you guys, you know, English teacher I'm a Hicktown in Florida. And, you know, here we are talking to people all around the United States. So anyways, that was it. Like, I kind of had a plan thinking, like, how am I going to pay for this? And once I knew how to pay for it, once I get it, how can I, you know, actually activate that and make some money with it? So
yeah, absolutely. So how long have you had the fiber?
Fiber laser I got 2 weeks ago, I think. Like, not even.
So you're fresh. Yeah, fresh.
Yeah. And
what are the specs on it?
I've got the 50 watt JPT, and it's a Haitian laser, or HT, from Pascal Lou. He's a really cool guy. And just meeting people in the groups, like I said, found some good deals. And I had it, what's really crazy is I had it in 10 days. Like, I ordered it, 10 days later, it's in my garage. Yeah, it was insane.
Yep.
And so luckily, and that's where, like, kind of when we talked about having a plan, knowing that the academy was there, like, that was something I was planning to join once I had it, because, you know, every episode, and this is one of those things, like, I really appreciate what you guys put out, and the fact that, like, even Patrick, like, before we went live, Patrick was talking to me earlier today, just helping me out, like, hey, here's some DXF files for you, here's some stuff, you know, this might work when you're putting together I was working on an axe for a friend. So it's just cool having that camaraderie, but knowing the fact that you've got people you can talk to who know way more than you do is pretty valuable. And it's gotten me, like you said, up and running. And so if you're wondering, if anybody out there is wondering, like, how can I make money with this, you know, you can't do it on your own unless you've already got, like, a background in this, you know. But yeah, I've got Shakespeare.
One of the I go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
No, you can. Like I said, I'm not against paid courses and stuff like that. People think, like, it's like you're not supposed to. It's like, oh, it's taboo. But anyways, if you really want to pay, if you really do want to pay for courses, I think, like, my suggestion and my personal thing is, I would wait until I reach that plateau, like I'm capped, and then let's pay for advanced, because the initial stuff, Alex has already probably covered it. So I think later on, you know, more little advanced things, it's great to get, like, those courses and stuff like that. But that's just my personal opinion. So
one of the things that's really surprised me about our community, specifically to your point, Matt, is that it's not even just the staff members, and these guys are volunteers, you know what I mean? I'm not paying them anything. I hardly have enough money to cover my own expenses. But one of the best things about this community in particular is it's not like a community of takers, like, even just regular community members, like, just people that have been here for, like, a week and don't really know what they're talking about. It feels like, to me at least, watching the Discord, specifically our free community, right, that you don't have to pay to be a member, like, these members, like, they had a question a week ago and then they get it answered, and then a week later they're answering that question for other people. That's something I feel like I don't see that everywhere, and I don't know what makes this special, because this, in theory, is not any different than any other laser community, but just the participation from everyone in general is really impressive.
I think, to go to that point, that's what I mean. Like, people come here, like, for example, Facebook is where I think most people start off their quests for, like, you know, where do I find the right laser? Where do I find whatever? And at a certain point, you get the balls enough to actually say, hi, I'm looking for a laser. And you get roasted in a lot of communities where it's like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get out of here. And it's just a lot of negativity sometimes. Then you've got the complete opposite in other groups where it's like a bunch of soccer moms, which nothing wrong with that at all, but they're, you know, super friendly, but they don't have the technical knowledge. And so it's nice to find, like, a happy medium where people here want to come. And, like, I hop on Discord when I'm bored at work, when I've got, like, 10 minutes and I'm just like, let's just shoot the shit here for a second.
It's not just like somewhere you go to get help. Like, it's actually fun to hang out there.
Right. And the thing is, because there's that feeling, in my opinion, because there's that feeling of, like, hey, let's go there to chill for a minute. I don't mind, like you said, and my limited knowledge, I still have been able to answer stuff, or at least point them to videos that I've seen and be like, hey, here, this is really helpful. Like the other day, doing a deep steel engrave, there was a guy who had asked about it. I happened to be on. I was like, hey, here's this thing that I did. Boom. You know, that I saw from Alex in the group. Pow. Done. And so that's where I really appreciate that. And that's where, like Tony was saying, I think once you like, I agree. Once you hit that cap, like when I'm sitting here and I'm stuck and I'm really going to be at some level way past now, I might be willing to pay somebody big bucks. But the thing is, like, you've got the ability to just walk in, talk to somebody who's at your level or higher, and get some expert knowledge for free. And or if you're wanting to join, which that to me was part of my business plan, because I knew I don't have the time. As like, I've got 3 kids under 6 years old, and I've got a full-time job, and then I'm usually up until 2 a.m. working out here in the garage. So there you go.
That's the grind. See, and the thing is it's and to your point, Matt, is it's about learning and stuff like that. It's like Alex can give you all the settings. I mean, he can give you everything you need. If you don't paying someone at the beginning, the settings are, it's not what's really what you're there for. Even though if Alex handholds me through video, his settings might not work for me. You have to get out. Like, there's no way around that. Like, I can use a Tumblr setting from Alex. It will get me there, but it might not work all the way. So you just got to get out there and just have to burn things.
Just to prove that point.
What I like.
Here you go. So just to prove what he's saying, in case anybody doesn't believe him, this is a leatherette piece that I was working on to mess with something. And if you, I don't think I can get real close resolution, but this thing lit on fire.
Leatherette.
And so that's the settings, by the way. That's with the settings that we use in the group. And I was just like, well, shit, that's not gonna work. And so
there's 2 things about that too. It's like, so what I like to tell people is the settings take you 80% of the way. That 80% that's months. You know what I mean? Like it does. It's a huge jump, but you still have to walk that 20% yourself. You just have to do it. Everything needs to be tweaked. The other thing is that there are so many variables, right? Like, for example, that leatherette is much, much lighter than anything we did on the leather channel. We didn't account for that during the video. You're 80% of the way there, but that last 20% on that leatherette, you have to walk that and dial that in. And that's just you have to burn to learn. I wish I didn't just say that, but you do. You have to burn to learn, man. Like, you gotta practice.
Hold
just
on.
like anything
I gotta
else
write
in the
that
world.
down. I'm putting it on a coaster.
The settings get you.
The
settings get you a strong B-, but if you want to earn that A+, you've got to put in the work and the practice.
Exactly.
You have to know enough to where. See, when I first got started, it was like, I'm to the point now where, yes, I don't know everything, but if I do a burn on something, I can know immediately, like, okay, I need to either dial this up or down. Like, you have to get to that point where, okay, you look at something and you're like, okay, I think I can hit it with this. You have to just know the material, and it's just, there's no class that's going to teach you that, because a person over there, it's not really, grab anything, just laser, whatever, just start burning things, and you'll like know the material. You'll literally know that. And there's no way around that.
And the difference between power,
there's so many variables.
Power versus frequency.
So, and the other thing too is, like, when you've done it enough, and I've got 8 years under my belt now, like you just get like a gut instinct. You know what I mean? Like, you can mark something, it can come out like shit, and you just kind of know what you need to do to fix it. Not so much like, I'm not like, there isn't like a big chart where it's like, are you getting this result? Go to, like, people want like a flow chart, and eventually you just get like a feeling, where you're like, I know what, like, the next step that I need to do to remedy this or to improve this mark. Like, which direction you need to start pushing your laser and pushing your marks to fix that. And that only comes with, there's no amount of money that you can pay for courses. There's no amount of YouTube content you can consume, no number of times that you could read through the EasyCAD manual to get that for you, other than just sitting at your laser and like using it.
And I want to like clear the air on something too. Another thing that people might hear is I'm not going to really mention, but if you're out there and you think that someone's like perfect on I'm human, I make mistakes, I don't know everything, I might say something that you guys might say like, no, that's wrong. I'm human. So if you find someone that's teaching you, they're going to have little flaws. So just don't sink your teeth into if you see some errors. Just there's a tactical way to correct someone. Not every YouTube video that you see is going to be perfect or OSHA approved or anything. Just there's tactical ways, and just some people don't understand that. So I just wanted to kind of say
That's true. That's true about the channel too. I mean, we've produced a number of episodes that have errors and mistakes in them, you know, and it's like somebody told me, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, you don't have to be an expert to teach something. You just need to be a couple steps ahead of whoever you're teaching, you know? So, I mean, yeah, of course, like there's going to be problems with some of the information in some of my videos. And the next time we create an update on that video, everything that I've learned from our amazing community in the meantime, that's going to be, you're going to see that reflected as updates in updated videos down the road. So
well, I was going to say one thing to go to both of what you guys said too, is the fact that in our community, I feel like it's people, you know, it's easy to be a know-it-all, but I think what Tony said has some validity there to it, because in our group that I've noticed, people don't mind correcting you. And I don't think a lot of people take it negatively too. You know, like it's rare in our group that anybody is like, hey, you know, that you're garbage. Like but in some groups I've seen that where people are not the nicest. So that's another thing too. Like I said, that feeling of like, it's cool to mess up. It's okay because you're learning. You got to burn to learn. I heard someone say
it's actually a lot of work to keep that atmosphere too. A lot of people get banned from our communities, and a lot of people get literally shadow banned in the YouTube comments. People that just come into, I'm not even joking. Like people will come onto the video and they'll be like, "This Mark is pathetic. You're you know, idiot, and everything you do is wrong, and you're stupid, and you know, I hate your community." I literally just like hide the user from the channel, because that when people see that, it makes them not want to say anything for fear of being wrong. And it's always been about like the open exchange of information for me. That's like always been my number one priority. Even on like the Discord, like if people are linking to other people's YouTube videos, like you don't take that down, you know, it's like you got to leave that up. Right. I link to other people's videos all the time. One of the most common questions that I get asked, technical questions that I get asked, is how to adjust laser timing. You know, and I've not made a video on that yet. I literally link to other people's channels that like explain that topic just to like get the question answered. So when people are, you know, like just coming in to either the Discord or the YouTube comments with just like this nasty negative energy and contributing nothing, like they're gone, dude, because clearly there are enough normal, friendly people to have a community without those people, you know.
Let's not say normal. I mean,
okay,
but otherwise,
you know what? It's not even about, you know, like the person's feelings. It's just like others. If others see that, it's for that next person, right? You know, and I don't understand. Like maybe because I'm just getting older, but there's no reason for you can get your point out without being a DICK head. Like you literally can. Like you can get you can correct someone and be tactical about it, because if y'all not correcting me, and I'm about to cause some fire, like something's wrong with y'all. Y'all need to, like, you see something that I'm doing wrong, tell me. I'm cool with that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right all the time, but when other people that are just there for the experience, then they see that, that's when I like have an issue. For the others, for me, I don't care. Tell me whatever you want. I sleep perfectly fine, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, and so for me, going back to the question of like, why did I jump into a fiber laser, or, you know, what made me have that desire to, it was one of those things where there's a market around me, and I've had people like, you know, like I said, I'm in a redneck town in Plant City, and I mean that in a respectful way. Like I love my town, Plant City represent. But anyways, there's a lot of people here who are like, you know, knives, guns, and all of that stuff. And I'm not really jumping on top of that yet, because I know there's because, you know, since this is going to be posted somewhere, I'm doing everything legally. But it's just one of those things where it's, yeah, man, like, so I've not done anything, but I also have a few friends who do laser work in this area too. And my friend's dad is a retired police. I know he was a captain, but he went past that. And he's actually got a lot of experience too. So it's really cool. I've got somebody right down the road from me who I can go kind of get some practical hands-on, and super cool guy. And so anyways, and that was it. And then the other thing too is with leather, that was my thing, like leather patches, being able to zap those out pretty quick. Like I've actually got, you know, leather red is a whole different thing, but I've got leather down pretty good now, so I can kind of just crank them out.
Leather red.
So you have a CO2 laser. Are you still preferring to mark the leather with a fiber laser?
So what I've been doing, and this is where like it kind of depends, because I just got this guy 2 weeks ago, right? And so I've kind of got the settings down.
Still.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. So I like cutting it. So what I've been trying to do is I'm trying to develop scalability So if I could put that on a website or something where it's like, hey, do you want 100 patches? Then I can cut the cost down by cutting my time down. So if I can cut the leather from, actual raw leather, get them pre-made, spray them down and then zap them over here so it stays nice and flat, then that's one of those things too where instead of
Spray
it
'em
taking
down.
me, well, yeah, so one of the things I do to keep leather flat so you can have it nice and level while you do it is just I got a little spritzer bottle. Yeah, just a little tiny bit. Zap it. Or you can take a wet cloth and hit it too.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I was like, I thought there was like some concoction that I don't know about.
I just like to make it real
actually run it
sexy in here while I'm
under
working. Just
run it under the sink
So-
in running water, get it nice and saturated, and it'll lay flat for a while. And then you can, especially on the CO2 when you're cutting it out, you won't get all those
Yes.
nasty burn edges.
So this is what I'm talking about. I literally learn new stuff about lasers like
water.
every single day. Every
So-
single day. I had no idea about this. That's awesome.
And Patrick is absolutely right. Like when I'm cutting it, I've got just like a little, almost like a mopping sponge out here, and I wet it down so it stays. And then what I've learned is on the fiber, because the other thing too is the char mark. Sometimes if you're hitting it, like it's not, something's just a tiny bit off. Like Tony said, you're practicing, you're getting it down, and literally just like a 0.5 millimeter down made it kind of singe on the sides. Versus if I cranked it up just a tiny bit more, it's beautiful. And so just that little bit of spray kept the char down, and you don't have to wipe it. It's done. You just take it off. So my whole thing is if I can develop scalability, pre-cut, and then develop like a little routine to just knock them out, that'd be amazing. And that's where I can actually, during the summer, because my goal is I've got 2 months of the year, really 3 months of the year, where I can just crank stuff out and work hard. And so if I can take this time to develop the routines to get it ready, then during that time I can be as profitable as possible and pay off machines.
One of the things that might work really well for you too, that Patrick is a fan of, I know Patrick's used it before, is if you're doing those like patch markings with the fiber and then like adding like registration marks, you may be able to get away with like a print and cut with the CO2, so that all of your patches have been marked. Then you just take the whole sheet, throw it in the CO2, registration, and it'll just go through and cut them out. I've messed around with that myself yet, but I mean, that could be like a really good option if that's something that you want to do. I want to look into that because I've got the CO2 Galvo too. So that's, I mean,
that'd be sweet.
Even faster, and if you just get a couple of registration marks on there, I can get the cutting of the flatbed without having to wait for the engraving time of the flatbed. So
right,
just like, you mark them all out on the Galvo fiber or CO2 or whatever, and then toss it in the machine, use print and cut and light burn. Again, I'm not an expert on that topic yet. I want to learn how to use that effectively, but I feel like it should be that easy. From your experience, Patrick, does that sound like something that would work effectively?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do think so.
Cool.
And it doesn't have to be a specific registration mark either. Like if you have a bird or something that's kind of failed and you've moved it and you need to put it back and restart it, you can just use a mark, on the project in Lightburn and create your own registration points and get everything lined back up and continue. So it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
And what is Matt? What is your like meat and potatoes right now? Like, what is the thing that you're doing?
That was my next question. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I got you. And so for me, like my big thing is when I got my small machine a while back, I started doing like cutting boards, and luckily, like I've got a lot of friends who are super supportive, and they're like, "Yeah, let's get one of those cutting boards." But then once you buy that, like, what do you do? And so as a teacher, like I've been a tennis coach and a speech and debate coach, and I've coached all kinds of stuff, helped assistant coach a couple things. And so it's just one of those things where as a coach, I'm always doing fundraisers because that's the biggest thing you do as a coach, like try to help kids out. And so one of the things that I figured out was I've kind of got to capture market a little bit. I had to sign a couple of papers to make sure everything was legit with the school district and then my personal school. But really what I've done is just started fundraising with schools and coaches. And so tumblers is the big thing that I do. And I've made it. So the whole thing with a coaching job, you're there from 6 a.m. until usually like 8 p.m. And then when do you have the time to go research it, find it? Are they legit? Is it somebody who's going to be useful to you? Is it something that's new? Because, there's always the same fundraising stuff going on. And so tumblers is something that a lot of our students haven't done. And really, I've been working with them. So like our football team, really, I'm not going to talk about the margins too much, but like the thing is the football team, I give them a flat rate fee. They take $10 from every cup they sell, which is, if you're a coach, that's crazy good money. Usually you make like $5 or $6 per item. And so that's really what's been working for me is, they make more.
And if you don't want to get too into this, that's okay. But is the
Yeah.
setup like you're marking a ton of tumblers and then the kids are taking them and selling them?
I was
Like,
just about,
like
how does
Boy
that work?
Scouts
Yeah.
and popcorn, or?
No. So I actually do like to add the value, to make the value to me. What makes it valuable is it's personalized, right? And
Right.
so literally it's just like with t-shirts. If you've ever seen the t-shirts where it says like Alex on the back, but then it's got your team on the front.
Yep.
That's what I do. So every cup has the same logo, like they get one created image. And then basically what happens is, so it'd say like Tony sold 6. And so I make 6 cups where Tony's underneath there. And so really getting all the player names in advance, like I make a roster and then I just make all the artwork ahead of time. And then you literally just, it's like, okay, Tony got 6 cups, Patrick got 8, and Alex got 4, boom, boom, boom. And you just kind of crank them out, but they all have to be the same cup. And that's where, it's not like a 30 ounce, a 20 ounce, a wine cup and all this stuff, because
It's all
like
standard.
Alex, yeah. And that's the thing. So, the coaches understand that. And I said, that's how we get the best value. That's how you get the best price.
So like, okay, so if Tony is the student, right? And he sells like 6 cups. I'm assuming that's to like friends and family members that want his name on a cup. It's like sports memorabilia for that player because you care about that player.
Right. And it's got his name and number on it.
That's so fucking smart. That's
cool.
Smart. That's clever, man.
I really
cool
want
thing
to know more about doing that, because
and so the other thing that I've got too is on the order form. So I make the order forms for them too, because as a coach, that's not something, not every coach knows how to do that kind of stuff and make it easy for anyone to fill out. Also, I've also kind of narrowed it down to the accountant at our school needs it to make sense for her. And so basically everybody who puts their hands on it, from the kid to the person paying to the coach who's collecting, it's very easy. Plus there's a QR code to my website on there, so it drives business to my website. So plus you can see the product, because a lot of times when you order stuff, you don't know what it is you're getting. And so they can actually see like a 3D rendering of the cup, and really for us, it's a cup, but because we see them every day, it's not that big of a deal. But some people are like, oh, wow, that's great.
What do you use for the 3D?
Shopify and Zakiki.
Hey,
Yep.
I wanted to bring that out of you. I knew it was Zakiki.
So here's the,
and that's where I haven't actually put Zakiki on the website yet, but I've got it like passive on my Shopify.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things where like I'm trying to get it down where I understand it, so that way someone doesn't click the QR code and then I look like an idiot.
Yeah.
So can you? Here's the real question: is have you moved out of your native district at this point and gone to other districts with your product and your service?
And here's the thing,
is that something you plan on doing?
So no is the answer to that question, because my district is the 8th largest district in the nation. We have 28 high schools, 63 middle schools, and like 148 elementary schools. So it's one of those things. Yeah, we're Hillsborough County in Tampa. That's the big anchor of our network there. But as far as we're huge, and so the good news is I've started to, like, the whole thing is I wanted to get it down to a process, and then once I've got the process down, that's something that you can take other places. And so really the goal is, or at least for me, and I don't know if I ever want to stop being a teacher, honestly, but like, I could hire somebody to help me out or do something in the shop while I'm teaching. But the goal would be just to, like you said, go to different schools, and there's all kinds of different functions and teams. And what's really great about it is if someone's sitting there thinking like, well, that's not something you could do year round, the teams go all year round. Fundraising happens all year throughout the summer.
Different sports, different seasons, right?
Yeah. Now, the other thing is, if I was really going to turn this into a business, like actual, like that's my one thing, you'd have to develop scalability and get different sizes, different colors, different whatever. And there are groups that do that. Like when you look online, there's groups that do that, and it's really tough to beat their prices. But what's really nice about my district is I can put it into your hands. So if you're a coach, you come to school, I hand you the papers, you hand them to your kids, the money gets collected. You never have to go out of your routine, and the cups are in your hands. It's done. So that's the big draw, is that it doesn't add to your day, and the stress level is 0 for them.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So stepping back a little bit. So
Yeah.
if a person wasn't part of the school, like a walk-in,
Yeah.
how would the process look like? Like, hey, I am blah blah blah. Here we go. How do I do this?
So, I mean, if it was me, like anytime you're going to any type of school district, you have to look at, because I can only speak to my district, legally, but you have to be a partner with the school district. So there's usually some kind of a website that says looking to do business with the school, the schools, fill out this form, and you have to have an EIN. You have to have your tax-free sale and all that kind of stuff. Actually, I don't know if you need the resale certificate, but you have to have an EIN that proves you're a legitimate business. You fill out the paperwork. It takes a couple of weeks for you to get that. Then once you get your partner number, you can, and it's the same thing with universities, right? Like I've looked into working with USF as our local university. It's pretty much the same process. And so that's really what it is just like I said, having a game plan. And I don't know if, this is one of those things too, where like everybody knows somebody who does something, so I don't know if I could get my foot into every door, but the goal would be definitely to like scale it up. But once you've got that EIN secured and you've got the business partner number secured, you're able to kind of just say like, well, hey, here's what I'm doing. And then you get contracts from each school that have to be signed by a principal and this and that and the other. And it basically lays it out and it protects the school 1,000%, which it should. No one should be trying to say, hey, I'm going to help you do fundraising and steal from them. And so you just have to have your terms in very black and white numbers for them to understand. And then they need to match up at the end. And if you do if you've got your ducks in a row, it's pretty easy to get it done.
Are you doing work outside of this like district cooperation? Like, do you just do stuff for like John Doe or whatever, like just randoms?
Oh yeah. So that's not that that was my meat and potato question. So
yeah, no,
so
yeah, of course.
So at least currently, and so that's actually, I'm really fortunate, knock on wood here, but I'm really fortunate that I've got a few gigs that are pretty, like they're returning customers and they appreciate what I do. And so that's the other thing too, is like you guys, one thing, and I'm going to give a shout out to a group on Facebook that I joined was called the Hustle and Burn community. And
I'm
this
familiar
is
with them.
Yeah, and so when you talked about like surrounding yourself with people who are growth mindset is one of the things in education that you hear about a lot. We have all these different terms in education, but a growth mindset is huge if you're trying to start a company, because you can't just be satisfied with here. You've got to know what's the next step, and you should take time, just like you take time, like Tony said, to master the materials and the equipment you've got. You have to have a plan with going past that. So long story short, a year ago, I read a post by her name's Alicia Pate, is one of the admins over there. And it said like, hey, hustlers, get your shit in order, because she's pretty fun to talk to. And she's like, get your shit in gear and get it in order and make sure you've got a plan. And she's a Texan, so she's very like to the point. Hey. And that's what it said, by the way. It literally said like, develop your plan. So my first plan was, a year ago, I was out here in the garage with the garage door wide open. It's 100 degrees. I'm sweating my ass off, bugs and snakes. I literally had snakes crawling on me because I'm in Florida. So my one plan was ventilate so I don't have to have the door open. Then it was, get an air conditioning. So I put a split unit into the thing, which helped to control humidity, and it made the CO2 that I had run better. And so all those processes led to, successful return. Plus, when people can see the output, you're able to put out quicker. Like I'm able to work till 2:00 at night in the garage and bother no one, and so, yeah, so the other thing that I'm doing is like realtors and lenders are huge because they want simple, easy products. So olive wood cutting boards are awesome. Like they're a really big seller. Yep. Keychains. I work with a motorcycle shop. So a motorcycle shop that, if you guys have ever heard of a Honda Ruckus.
Yes.
There's a website called, or actually there's a company called the Ruck Shop, and they're in Land O'Lakes, Florida. Nice. And super cool guy named Kevin runs the place. He's the owner, and he's needed some parts made, and so I was able to make a couple for him. And he's like, hey man, these are really good. My last laser guy sucked. Do you have any laser guy? And I'm like, well, what does that entail? And he's like, a few $1,000s worth of work here and there. And I was like, this sounds okay. Yeah, I'm down.
Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, and so like that literally paid off a huge chunk.
So what I want to do, actually, really quick, you have an up and running website, right? It's like functioning.
It's
so what
garbage.
is that? Let's see it.
So-
what is it?
We're gonna pull it
Yeah,
up,
it's-
baby.
pull it up.
ELCCreations.com. So this
All right,
is when we
let's-
talked about the next part, like the next phase and having a plan with your business. This was
Mhm.
actually implemented about a month and a half ago.
Oh,
Okay, sure,
beautiful.
sure. It
And
looks
so-
good to me, man. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, the whole
Yep.
thing is it's very limited in what I've got. And so you can see this is my school, Durant High School. Shout out Mr.
Mhm.
Graham. That's my principal.
Mhm.
And so
Nice.
you can see that. So what's really cool is on this website, and I'm pointing at the camera like I'm pointing at stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways, I've got that's actually a picture of the olive wood cutting board from my mom's
Yeah, I
kitchen.
see that. Yeah, that looks amazing. Look at that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
And that's a really cool thing. And so, anyways, finding those
Mhm.
things that kind of make you stand out. But if you go back to the 20-ounce cups,
Yeah,
this
sure.
is where people don't realize. Like, so anyone who's trying to start a website, click
Mhm.
on the little drop down menu right there where you can click the
You gotta
color.
customize. Yeah. Click
Yeah,
the color. And
I had
then
to
hit
sit there.
customize.
Yeah, so when you click it, it jumps to it. That took
Yep.
me like 45 minutes.
Oh, dude,
of
it
like,
takes a long time.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah.
can go customize.
And so-
no, go to
yeah.
customize.
Oh, see,
and then
that's
now
where
you-
like, yeah, I don't have it
Oh,
live
he's
yet.
actually sold out. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yep.
Yeah, so this is where we talked about keeping stock. And so one of the things, if you're someone
Right.
who's thinking about starting a website, Shopify has two options. You can either keep stock and keep count where anybody who comes in can say this has 12 items left, or you
Yeah.
can actually, it would never say sold out. But my thing is I didn't want somebody to place an order of one cup and then I had to order
Right.
that one cup. So I'm like, I'll just leave it out of stock where they can't order it. So the other thing too is like having it. So if you go back to the homepage real quick,
Yep, sure.
so this is where the QR codes take everybody. And so if you've got that, the sales sheet that the students have, so if you've got 30 kids on a team, that those kids are going to take pictures and send that QR code to everybody.
Right.
And so you can click on, just any one of them,
Yeah, sure.
something with a cool one. So right now we've got lacrosse is coming up, and the coach literally heard how easy it was. And he's a first-year coach. He doesn't understand all of the stuff going on. He's got tons of stuff on his plate as a
Yeah.
first-year coach. And I said, well, he came to me and said, hey, I heard that it was super easy and the football team made like $1,500. Could we do that? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And so what I did is I, put this together. So Durant Cougars, that's Coach Wantland, and then found a cool SVG that he found it. And I actually paid a friend of mine $5 who's really good at Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or whatever. And she took a steel cup, put the SVG over it, like the PNG of it, and then like captured the silver and then put it onto the cup.
Yep.
So that's one of those things. If you don't know how to do it, find someone who can. And
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
that just gives somebody a chance to click on it and see it. And if they want it, they get it. And hopefully the other thing too is what's nice with Christmas coming up, they can push that. Like you said, you're usually family members who want it. And so at Christmas time, they're like, hey, Aunt Cheryl, check it out. I can get a cup with my name on it. What?
Do
So-
you have plans in the future to set up a system where basically like the kids would give friends and family members a link to something like this, and then the people that want to buy one would just buy it directly from you, and then you would make a payout to the school?
So this is where like knowing the legalities, and that's another thing too that I would absolutely, anybody who's trying to make a business out of this instead of just making it a hobby out of their garage, and I'm sure you guys can attest to it, is having an accountant.
Yep.
Yep. Like I pay someone nothing crazy, but I pay them a decent amount to make sure I don't overstep my bounds because I do not understand tax law at all.
Yeah.
And one of the things I asked was, if they pay through me, will they have to pay tax? And the answer is yes. Like the 501(c) doesn't shield my company. So if I was a 501(c), like I had some type of industrial production and I was tax exempt, then that's a different story. But because the whole point is we're trying to keep the money in the school's pocket, like in the the team, it's actually better tax wise for me and for them because it just keeps everything really simple. They pay a
Right.
flat rate to me, they keep a flat rate for them. And
Got it.
I know it's kind of a long answer, but that's one of those things where I definitely spent probably 2 weeks making sure I had the best answer for that
Sure.
because I did not want Uncle Sam taking extra money from anybody that didn't belong to him.
And then
So-
if like I don't want to dox you here on the website, so we can actually take this down and switch back to us just chatting here. But if I like lived in your town and I just wanted some laser engraving done, is there like a contact us page and I can just call you and like ask like, hey, I've got a Zippo, can you engrave that? Like, do you take that kind of work?
Absolutely. So that's the other thing. I do a ton of one-offs because I'm in Plant City. And I definitely go on Facebook. It's a great way to put your name out there.
Right.
Anyone who's looking, like I've got the Plant City word of mouth, right? And that's just, there's the makers group. Actually, so here's really cool reason why you should definitely get on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, which by the way, my Instagram, I have 5 followers and only one of them isn't family. But anyways,
nice.
Yeah,
we'll plug you on the show.
But the thing is, what I'm saying is you don't have to be like social media savvy to get work. What's cool is I went on to, I just joined, this is from that Hustle and Burn community. They said, look for a makers group in your area. I'd never even heard the term maker because I'm an English teacher. Never heard of it, right? So I go on to the makers group and I was like, hey guys, my name is Matt Bodiford. I do laser work. Reach out, here's a little bit about my company. I kind of just put a couple pictures up of some items I had done. And the local newspaper reached out to me, and they were like, hey, we'd love to do a feature on you. We don't have a lot of people in town who do this kind of stuff. Would you mind? I had like a full 2-page spread of like me and my kids smiling real big on a thing, Sweet, Oh, it's super cool, man. And so, anyways, so that was really neat. And from that, I got some business. And the other thing too is I've lived here 20 years. So, and I'd say it's a small town. It used to be like 20,000, but now I think we're sitting on like 35,000. But there's enough people to sustain a business for sure. And then, even like we had a community garage sale and I just literally took a table out front and I'm right next to my laser. And I was like, cutting boards, $40 and up, cups, $20, something like that. So it's just flat rate. I'll eat the tax on it, whatever, because I'm just right here. And so it was cool. It sold like $300 or $400 of cutting boards just in my front yard.
During a garage sale. Yeah.
Well, so it's pretty sweet. It's just, that's the kind of thing we're like looking for opportunities and thinking about it, and actually my wife gets credit for that one. Cause she was like, you need to be outside making some money. I was like, all right.
Nice.
I think she just wanted me to go outside. I was like, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Probably good for you. You got to like kind of wash out some of that aluminum dust, right? And all the stuff.
Open the garage and air it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been, that's what's been really cool. And then the other thing too is like you guys said, getting those repeat customers, looking for some items, and then just doing stuff for free for friends. And I'm sure you guys have done this too, where they post it on Facebook or put it, on their social media, and that gets people. I think the milkshake brings the boys to the yard.
Right. Yep. And so you've got, so we've talked about a ton of stuff that you're doing. Obviously, you've got your hands in a lot of different things. It sounds like everything that your meat and potatoes revolves around is very CO2 centric. So you bought the fiber 2 weeks ago. You're very plan centric guy. What is your plan to integrate the fiber into your business? What's the target on that?
Right. So really the big thing was leather and stainless steel. And so that's one of those things where I think marketing materials. So when you talked about like personalized marketing goods for realtors, bartenders. So here's a good example. I went out with a couple of friends and who came down, and we went and had a drink. And when you're at the bar, I happened to see somebody had a laser engraved item. And I was just like, hey man, this is kind of ratty. I could probably make you a better one. And I literally meant just for free. It just led to an order of stainless steel items. And you're like, okay. So then, and you just walk around seeing it. But for me, the big thing would be, because remember the whole goal is to go to the website. And so what I want is if somebody has something from the website, they should be able to click on it. And I should have like 3 or 4 items that are kind of just, they're pre-done. All of the files are ready for it. And then that way I can just crank out 100 of them. Or if you send me your company logo, like let's make it, even if it's an order of like 10, 20, 30, whatever, just be able to dump them out. And that's the big goal with that, because my big problem is because I'm a teacher and so my kids go to bed at 7. I usually hang out with my wife for an hour or so if she can stand me that long. And then you get like from 8 to 2 in the morning is usually when I work out here. And then that's usually every day. And I wake up at 5:30 again and go.
Yep.
So if I can take a 2-hour job that's on the CO2 and turn it into a 20-minute job, then I've either got time for more work or I can actually sleep.
Right,
So-
right. Yeah, totally. And I mean, so it's a speed thing with the leather, right? Because just about every other thing on a pros and cons list between CO2 and fiber for
Speed.
leather is going to be in favor of the CO2,
Yeah.
except for speed. So really, you have a speed target. That's what you're trying to hit, and that's why you want to use the fiber to get that done.
That's the way shorter, better worded answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. I just recapping just to make sure that I'm understanding correctly. So do you? I mean, again, CO2 Galvo is kind of like the real answer there on the on the leather and doing that in like a speedy fashion, and it's going to work with a lot more variety of like different kinds of leathers. Is that something that you have on the radar?
So, and that was the thing too, is like, I honestly didn't have enough information about CO2 Galvo. And from what I saw, and this is where I was kind of poking around, like if you remember, like one of my first couple of Discord posts was asking about, I think you had talked about like a steady beam versus pulsing and all of that kind of stuff. And so it's one of those things where to me, I don't know yet. And so the other thing is I already had like priced, I already done research on it. I already figured out who I was going to buy it from, how long it was going to take to get here. Because my goal was to get it here before the Christmas break too, so that I could take 2 weeks to learn on it, but also pump out some items. Because the cool thing is I've already used that to do business cards, and that's one of the other things too. Is I've already got someone in my town had asked me about business cards, and I've already got a few other people outside of my town who had asked about them. So a little bit of diversity, but like you said, the speed for sure. But now that I've seen the 30 watt and the 60 watt Galvo more and more, that's probably going to be the next thing after I pay off this. So.
Yeah, I mean, don't get too excited about the CO2 Galvo yet, because we do have the UV coming on Monday, and that might put up some stiff competition for the CO2 Galvo. CO2 Galvo marks leather pretty well, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how the UV does with it, because I've seen some cool stuff.
This is where I do those cutting boards, and like I probably do a few $100s of cutting boards a month, which is not a ton. But I know there's like those people who do like thousands, and it's like you said, the 15-second cup, and it's like, bro.
Yeah,
if that's what I'm doing for fundraisers right now, that's taking me hours.
Cutting boards, CO2 Galvo land for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I'm still not sold on. I don't know. I'm not sold on the UV yet. I don't know, man.
You gotta wait. dude. We got a couple days left by the time this episode airs. Hopefully, it'll be tomorrow. So we'll have to see. There will be a live stream about that for sure.
Yeah,
we'll talk more about it.
Hopefully, it'll be
the other.
Hopefully,
I'm gonna be there, by the way, if you didn't know. So.
The other cool thing I was going to say is going back to what Tony had mentioned earlier, is a guy like Patrick, like the fact that I jumped on and was like, hey, I was thinking about doing an axe for a friend. I really needed some help. Like, it's cool that I've got that versatility. And then you got a guy like Patrick who jumped in and showed me his stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Patrick's the axe
people are really open in our community. And I really, really appreciate it. I certainly am eternally grateful to my staff members, because they really drive the community and make people feel welcome and help people whenever they can with any topic. They're not like, I'll help you with A, B, and C, but X, Y, and Z are off the table. They never ever say that to anybody, and that's why I picked them, because that's like my attitude towards it. There's nothing that's like off the table. I don't like keep any cards close to my chest. Even you have probably noticed, like on the LMA community, like there isn't a lot there that's not available to everybody else for free. I mean, we have the bonus episodes. Sure. Bonus episodes of the podcast, and we've got like the live streams, and those are fun, and like you can definitely learn some things from them, but the important information that people like need to hear to be effective with their machines, that's all available for free. You don't have to sign up to do that. It's more like bonus goodies for people that want to support the education for everybody else. That's how I like to look at it.
Yeah, and that's where, like you said, joining a group of people who are like-minded in growth mindset is really, really cool. And that's where the value comes in it. Whether it's $0, whether you pay, the different tiers, whatever. It's just like joining the right Facebook groups and getting out of the ones that have toxicity in it, because really you can have them there to scroll through, but I never participate. It's just kind of there to, hey, that looks cool. Maybe I could try something like that one day.
Totally.
Versus this one where it's like jump in and have fun. And that's the thing is Patrick actually reached out to me, which is what was really cool, because I had posted it in like one of the general chat forums, like, hey, I was thinking about doing this. If anybody has any ideas, and he was like, hey, boom, just some thoughts. So, and that was pretty cool.
Patrick's a boss. We love Patrick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Patrick, he's classic Patrick. He's like,
Yeah.
It's a man of few words.
Sure.
We love you. We love you, buddy.
And then my internet lagged behind, and then everybody's talking over me. That happens quite a bit. So
you know what? You're doing great today. Your internet's. You've got a strong day, man. You've got a strong day with the internet there. Anyway, guys, we're hitting 50 minutes here. I think this is like we've come to like a nice bow on the end of like this chunk of the conversation. So we're gonna wrap this up and head over to record our Laser Master Academy bonus episode of the Laser Source podcast. Matt, you're going to be joining us for that?
I will.
Awesome. So if you enjoyed listening to Matt talk, you want to hear more about what he has to say, and you want to hear from these two clowns over here. Everything's backwards. Come check out the bonus episode, because we're gonna hang out. I've got some stuff to show. I know these guys have some stuff to show. I'm sure Matt's got a lot more knowledge. This interview, by the way, this took like a weird turn. I did not expect when I brought you in and our conversation started that we'd end up talking about like sports fundraising and like school district. Like good, I didn't know it was like all gonna come together. Yeah, it was like
it's almost like I teach a speech class or something. That's crazy.
Shit, man. It took a weird turn. I didn't know we were gonna end up at sports and fundraising. But that's why I love the podcast. It's you always like, interviewing people is just such a fun thing. Anyway, guys, listen, if you don't already belong to the amazing Discord community that we've been talking up for a good chunk of this episode, go join it. It's free. It doesn't cost any money. We have over 1,600 members. Every single one of them will greet you with a smile. Everybody's really, really nice. They're always happy to help out. They want to interact with you. They want to see the work that you're doing, good or bad, new or expert or whatever. It's the best place to go. I genuinely believe we're among the very best laser communities at this point. Just something that I kind of fake it till you make it for a while, but I think we're really starting to like get up there.
Yeah,
so
we're there.
Anyway, guys, go check out the Discord. It doesn't cost $1. It's literally free. There's a link down in the description or the show notes if you're listening to this on a podcast service. And the other thing is check out the Laser Master Academy. I've mentioned it just a couple times here. Matt's a member, and I think I mentioned this already. It's a bunch of fun kind of bonus goodies. So we have like over 100 hours worth of just live streams where I'm just sitting here working at jobs at the shop, which can be really good for like getting experience and just kind of watching how I run through like mundane day-to-day jobs. And then we've got bonus episodes again of the podcast. So if you really enjoy listening to the podcast, we've got a whole nother set of bonus episodes over there for you. I think 15 or 16 at this point, and it grows every week. And there's an even tighter knit community there of like paying members that are paying to be there. They're really serious about growing. They're really serious about helping each other. And so it's an excellent place if you want to like grow or, scale your laser business. I highly recommend checking that out as well. I think that is it. Tony, Patrick, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit today. I appreciate you guys. And of course, Matt, it's been a blast talking to you, dude. You've had so much to share. I am damn excited for our follow-up on the bonus episode. So that's all I've got today, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Later.
See you.